My friend, Bobby Chance, really bugs me. We met in the mid-1970s when we were members of a Christian rock band touring the U.S. and Canada, sharing our faith through music. When that ministry concluded, he returned to his home state of Texas and began a business career. But a few years later, all that changed when he sensed God calling him to take the gospel to the streets. So he quit his job, relocated his family to inner city Los Angeles, and has been extending the love of Jesus to the homeless, addicted, trafficked, and forgotten in the heartless urban centers of the world ever since. And every time I try to settle into my comfortable suburban fortress, insulating me from all that pain, the image of him running toward it deeply troubles me in a very good way. Servant-heartedness is a way of being that is completely out of sync with this sin-scarred world where the arc of human activity is bent towards selfishness. So the account of Jesus in purposeful humility washing his disciples' feet is jaw-dropping in terms of its dissonance with our lived experience. People just don't naturally prioritize the needs of others. The Lord was modeling a different way to be human, the way of the redeemed. He was providing a glimpse into a born-again personhood where we're free and empowered to become more like him and less like us. His extraordinary example was clearly meant to disturb the disciples and to set them up to embrace more of what it looks like to be a citizen of the kingdom his resurrection would soon inaugurate. And since our faith in him escorts us into that same kingdom, I think it's obvious Jesus meant this episode to shake us up a bit too. It's not until our fistfuls of old creation expectations are jarred loose that we have the capacity to lay hold of new creation understandings. We've already considered some of them. In John 13:3, we encountered Jesus showing us the things servants know. And now, let's look at his actions in verse 4 and 5 to learn about the things servants do. First, by the simple act of rising from supper to serve, he showed us that servants balance receiving with giving. I'm not talking about physical food, but if there's no input, there can't be any output. If our serving isn't nourished by feasting, we'll soon burn out with nothing to offer anyone. On the other hand, if our sole focus is sating our own appetites, we'll become spiritually obese. We need to ensure that we spend appropriate time at the table of self-care so we can offer ourselves to others sacrificially in a spiritually healthy and sustained way. Second, when Jesus laid aside his outer garments, wrapped himself in a towel, poured water into a basin, and began washing feet, it wasn't something exotic. This service would have been offered as a matter of course by the household staff had he and his disciples not been forced to celebrate Passover in a borrowed room. What made it so shocking was not what was happening, but who was doing it. The Lord was demonstrating that servants don't concern themselves with seeking jobs that match their personal skill set, preferences, or sense of self-importance. They simply find a need and fill it. Most of the time, ministry is just about doing what needs to be done with a grateful and humble heart. Third, when Jesus dried his disciples' feet with the towel he was wearing, he was illustrating that servants absorb stuff. All of us engaged in caring for the needs of others will find ourselves dealing with the dirt people pick up along life's journey. And some of it's going to end up on us. This isn't something to dread, resist, or complain about. This is one of the privileges of serving Jesus. We need to make sure we never get confused about who the real Savior is, but while representing him, if we get the chance to take one for the team, how awesome is that? I've got a long way to go, but I want to become the kind of person whose servant-heartedness evidences a new creation way of being human, reflects Jesus better, and disturbs people in a really good way. If that mirrors your own desires, Join me in prayerfully inviting the Lord to help us do the things servants do.